What is up, ladies and gentlemen? NoZoupForYou here, and today we're going to talk about the Tier 9 Premium purchasable. We don't know how it's going to be purchasable. It's going to be purchasable either through Steel or XP or what have you. We don't know yet, though. The Tier 9 Russian destroyer Neustrashimy. Now, I am personally happy that we're getting some destroyer love with all these premiums coming out in Tier 9 and Tier 10. It seems like it's been a very long time since we've had a high-tier premium destroyer coming out, at least in Tier 9. And I think the last one was the USS Black, which is purchasable by Steel right now. I'm always a big fan of destroyers. I love destroyers from all countries, for the most part. Some of them are absolute duds, but this is a very, very interesting destroyer, mainly because it's Russian, and mainly because it does not play like a Russian destroyer. If you get your hands on this, you're going to find that it is very anti-Russian, for that matter. So let's talk about the stats a little bit in this preview, in this work-in-progress preview. And I got to remind you that it's a work-in-progress. Wargaming wants me to remind you it's a work-in-progress because stats are always subject to change. First and foremost, your guns. Interesting thing about your guns is you only have two. One in the front, one in the rear, and two barrels apiece. They're 130 millimeters. Rate of fire, reload time is 4 seconds. So pretty quick firing, but again, you've only got 4 shells that you're able to sling at a time. So this tells you right off the bat that this is not a gunboat. Firing range, base is 12.75. That's actually pretty generous, so you do have some range. Fire chance is 8%. And that's not spectacular, but I guess it's not horrendous. Overall hit points on this ship are going to be 20,500. And moving on to the torpedo tubes, which this is going to be of interest right now. You've got 2 quintuple torpedo launchers. They have a reload time base of 131 seconds. That's a little over 2 minutes right there. Of course, with all the proper accoutrements, you can bring that down significantly. Maximum damage of these torpedoes is going to be 14,600, and your speed is 65 knots with a total range of 9.99 kilometers. So you might notice that these torps are very similar to Fletcher torpedoes. And again, when you add Torpedo Reload Expert on them, your torpedoes do reload a lot faster, and you can get the reload down to Fletcher Torpedo Reload almost. So your torps reload fairly quickly. While they're not blazing fast, they're pretty quick. You have pretty strong anti-aircraft defense on this ship. I'm not going to go too far into depth with it, but if you wanted to build this ship out as an AA ship, you probably could get away from it. Maneuverability, maximum speed's 36 knots. Turning circle radius is 700 meters with a rudder shift time of 4.6 seconds. You're not the most nimble ship in the world. Of course, you're not the most sluggish ship in the world. Base concealment, 7.08 kilometers. However, and this is a big however right here, you can get your base concealment down to 5.6 kilometers. I know, right? That's crazy. A Russian destroyer with 5.6 kilometer concealment? And that leads me into the general feeling of this ship. Neustrashimy is a very, very interesting and highly intriguing addition to the Russian destroyer line, and to high-tier premium destroyers in general. And why is this ship so intriguing? Well, you are a jack of all trades, but you are an absolute master of none. You don't excel at one absolute thing on this ship. You definitely don't excel in gunfights, though if you keep your distance and play smartly, you can use your guns to decent effect. Of course, your guns aren't your best asset on this ship. Your best asset on this ship is going to be your concealment. 5.6 kilometers. You can cap in this ship, and that's basically unheard of on high-tier Russian destroyers. So what do you do with a ship that can cap, but doesn't have the ability to use its guns up close and personal when you face off against Haragumos and Kitakazes and all the other high-tier ships that are going to eat you alive? Well, that's the quandary with the Neustrashimy. Really don't know how to play her, but you can play her any way you want. This thing is like a Swiss Army knife in many ways. This ship has so many capabilities. It has the ability to do so much. You can pretty much make this ship what you want it to be. If you want to be a support ship, you can be a support ship, because your smoke is actually pretty good on this ship. Again, something that you might not be used to in a Russian ship. In many ways, this is a Russian Fletcher, though I wouldn't say it's as good as the Fletcher. Well, not everything about it's as good as the Fletcher, but it might excel over the Fletcher in some other things. One other very, very important thing about this ship is that you have the capability to heal. Don't discount that in any destroyer. That keeps a destroyer in the fight, and the fact that this ship, this virtual jack of all trades, has a heal to it as well, makes it all the more of an intriguing. And I know I've said the word intriguing a lot, but it really is. It's an intriguing ship. That heal just makes it all the more so. So that heal is a very, very interesting addition to this ship, and makes it further worth a look, in my opinion. Really, this ship can be anything you want, it can be everything you want, and it can also be nothing you want. It's very, very strange. I've laid out the stats for you right there. You can make it an AA ship, you can make it a capping ship, you can make it a torpedo boat if you want. And you can't really make it a gunboat, but from range your guns can do decent enough damage. They do hurt when you land your shots, though you're only landing 4 shells at a time. Again, this is a very intriguing destroyer, and while I'm not going to say players are going to rush to purchase this, I think more than a few players might be intrigued, as I am, and might go for it just for the fact that you can craft it any way you want. You can make this destroyer what you want it to be, and I think that's kind of refreshing. I kind of like that in a destroyer, or in at least a purchasable destroyer, which I'm assuming is going to be purchasable. We don't know if it's going to be XP or coal, but Tier 9 is generally not steel, though the black is, so who knows at this point. Still, very intriguing option for Tier 9 destroyers. Again, very nice to get some destroyer love. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your look at the Tier 9 Russian destroyer Neustrashimy, the Russian Fletcher, if you want to call it that, though its guns probably aren't as good as a Fletcher. Very interesting destroyer. I want to know what you think about this destroyer. Based upon what I've told you, what I've shown you, what you've heard about it, are you interested in this ship? Are you excited for this ship? Do you think it might be a possible addition to your port? Or are you going to take a hard pass on this destroyer for one reason or another? And I'm talking to you destroyer mains mostly, because I think for the most part, those that aren't heavily invested in destroyers are probably going to pass over this ship. But you hardcore destroyer players out there, what do you think about this ship? Let me know in the comments. Thank you all for watching. I greatly appreciate your support. You all have a wonderful week. I am out.